Hi, it's Patricia Campbell here. Today I want to talk about authentic confidence. Authentic confidence. Well, what is that? I think it's about increasing our faith and our belief in ourselves. It's about showing up to really shine our light, to use our voice, whether it's with one person, maybe even a husband or family member, or 100 people, maybe it's a small group, or 1,000 people on stage. It's really showing up. And sometimes that means taking off the layers that we've built up over years at times. I say that because that has been my experience. Putting on layers and really showing up without all of those layers of something to prove, or maybe something that I feel I have to protect, to defend, or hiding out completely. So it's taking off, and it has taken me years, I want to say, taking off layer after layer after layer. It took me years to stop wanting to hide out or to protect myself. Being bullied, I lost my voice as a young girl in school. And yet, as I grew up, I found there was something I wanted to say. I wanted to use my voice. I wanted to show up. I wanted to speak my truth. But I first had to find my voice even before I could unleash it. What was my voice? It was like I felt like I had it locked in a cage. So I felt locked. I felt blocked. So for those of you that are interested in showing up and speaking fearlessly, I want to say that I don't take it lightly, that there's a muscle to build. There is sometimes some uncovering, some taking layers off to be able to really find your voice in the first place, to say what you want to say, to ask for what you want to ask for. For me, it was that sometimes I was afraid of offending somebody, sometimes afraid of losing a friend, or that it would come out wrong. So keeping silent instead, but stuffing it inside. And that has consequences to it. So has that ever happened for you? We have sometimes tendencies to protect ourselves or to try and prove that we're good enough by, I actually wanted to draw a box with my hands, is what I was going to say, because it's what it reminds me of, is being caged, being trapped, and stuffing ourselves into a box, stuffing our voice and what we have to say, not speaking our truth. And that's difficult. It can actually be painful. Or we stuff it until we lose our passion for even showing up and shining our light and showing up in all of our greatness, with grace and with power. It's personal for me. I am so passionate about coaching and helping highly motivated women that really want to use their voice, whether it's face-to-face, one-to-one, in a small group, in a large group, making a bigger impact, but really who want to find their voice and speak with clarity, speak with connection, so that your message is heard. And that you, just even if it's for you, you honor you in a relationship, so that you say what you want to say, or whether you want to make a bigger impact in the world. There's a muscle that we have to build to be able to do that. So I don't take it lightly when someone says, I want to speak, but I get nervous. I clam up. My throat goes dry. We start to sweat. All of those things happen because our body tells the story instead of us connecting and communicating and us telling the story that we want to tell, instead of us speaking our truth. There is a muscle that has to be built. So if you're willing to commit to yourself, let's have a conversation about that. Katie Walker, my partner, Katie Walker, EFT. I wanted to call her a magician. She is so amazing. She's not a magician, but she's awfully brilliant. She's an expert. And so using the dream building tools, using transformational tools of learning how to unleash our voice, and using EFT, we're pretty excited about helping women really find their voice, and then unleashing their voice to say what they want to say, for you to say what you want to say. So let me talk directly to you. If you're that woman and you are ready to learn how to speak up, speak out, to show up, to shine, whether, again, it's in your personal relationships, whether it's in a small group at work, or whether it's on stage speaking to thousands of people, there's a muscle that has to be built. And the first step is to commit to yourself that you are willing to show up, and show up to honor you first. As women, that's a whole nother conversation that I'll do a post on another day. But for us, showing up for you before you show up for anybody else, before you show up to say the right thing, do the right thing, keep the peace, making somebody else happy rather than you honoring you. See, as women, we're taught to not celebrate ourselves, many of us. And so that can be vulnerable. It can be really vulnerable to show up and ask for something you want. I did that just recently. I asked for something that I wanted that was so important to me, and I lost a friend over it. And there was the time I would have protected myself. I would have kept the peace. But I had to honor me, because it was more painful in the end for me not to show up for myself than it was to show up to keep the peace and make someone else happy. So it can be vulnerable, because we're taught to look for approval from others. We're taught as little girls to do that, from listening to our parents, getting good grades in school, right? So finding our voice in the first place, so that we can even discover what it is we have to say. What is it we want to say? If this is speaking to you and you want to commit to yourself, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about that. Send me a message. Come to one of Katie and I's workshops. We're doing a few in December, and I think a couple in January. Come to one of the workshops. Come to a place where it's safe for you to show up, where there is no judgment, where there are no repercussions. And just listen to yourself. First of all, listen to yourself in a space that's safe, where you can just even begin to show up. I would love to see you there.